Today is December 31st, and something that I would recommend you to do today, or if you're watching this in January, just do it in January, is to record a private video of yourself, for your eyes only, called Year in Review and the Road Ahead. I've done this for the last 3 years. As you can see right here, at this point, it has become a ritual. In a couple hours, I will record a new one for 2024. And the purpose of this private video that you record for yourself is to review all the things that you've experienced throughout the entire year, what did you learn from them, and how you will apply these lessons to this upcoming year. So you touch both on the year you just went through and this new year. Now, there's a very specific way that I want to share with you on exactly how to structure this self-analysis video. And if you do it like I'm about to teach you, you will see that it will be way more powerful than the classic goal setting that most people do for the new year. But first, I want to take a second to really encourage you to record it. Don't just write it down or whatever. No, just take like 20-30 minutes and record this video. There's a lot of information that's very easy to lose when you just write things down. And this thing right here, it's very, very important. You don't want to lose anything. With video, it's way easier to capture all of your emotions and how you feel, the way you talk. And when you watch it in 1, 2, 3 years from now, or even 10 or 20, you will get way more out of it than if it was just some text on a piece of paper. And if it's just on paper, it's way more likely that you would just forget about this whole thing. And the more of these videos that you have, the more interesting this whole thing gets. Because now I can look at the ones I made on 2021, 2022, and 23, and it is extremely insightful for me to see what I was going through back then, what I was thinking, how I viewed my life, my future, my situation. It brings a lot of self-awareness to watch yourself like that, and you will learn way more than you expect. So please, I don't care if you're an introvert or shy or whatever. Record yourself and do what I'm about to explain right here. And no one is going to see this video besides yourself. So the way I structure these videos is in 3 parts. Although if it's your first time doing it, you will only be able to do 2 parts. You'll see why in a minute. The first part I do is to review how was this year that I just went through. I explain chronologically what happened and what I did. And then I talk about what I liked, what I didn't like, good things that happened, bad things that happened, challenges that I faced, what I overcame, achievements, failures, and not just explaining them, but reflecting on these things, trying to figure out why things happened the way they did, and thinking if I could go back, how could I have behaved differently so I could have had a better outcome. I also analyze if there has been anything throughout my entire year that's been holding me back on something. And overall, more importantly, what lessons I can take from this year. Now, once you have defined this first part and you've done the review of the entire year and also you're very clear on the lessons, we can move to part 2, which is the one of the road ahead, the part of the upcoming year. So the first thing that I would recommend you to talk about in this part are the things that you want to stop doing. Make it very clear what you want to avoid going into this year. Because I've noticed that in all areas in life, whether it's health, business, relationships, more often than not, improvements are more about removing things and not so much about adding stuff. For example, removing things from your diet, removing friction or unnecessary processes in your business, removing bad relationships or toxic people from your life. Removing stuff can often bring more positive results than any single thing that you could add. Then, for sure, once you've established what needs to be removed, you can think about what is it that you want to add. But don't do too much, because otherwise nothing is gonna get done. I guess in a way, maybe we could call these like also the goal section. But if you're gonna set goals, I would recommend you to set input-based goals, not output-based goals. Because big changes in life are more about behavior, not so much about achieving one specific thing and then forgetting about it. For example, if you wanna get in shape, do not set the goal of getting in shape. Instead, set the goal of behaving like someone who's in shape. So for example, your inputs would be things like going to the gym X times per week and eating healthy, but be specific about what that is and things of this sort. So as you see, it's more about what is it that you're doing, not output goals based on what you will accomplish. But again, focus only on a handful of things. I would say maybe at most only 3. And honestly, it can be even just 1. I think that's great. Like if you're looking for a big change in your life, you can just focus on that single thing and throw everything else away so that you don't get distracted and you can make the most progress on this single thing. Say, for example, I don't know, that you're struggling financially. Well, let your job or your business be your main thing for this year and you can put everything else on the background. That's completely fine, and this approach works really well if you're looking for a big change in your life and you want it to happen as quickly as possible. I will say this though, do not be too set in stone on the details. There's this quote from Jeff Bezos that I really like that says, be stubborn on the vision, but flexible on the details. So for example, the way this applies is that imagine someone says their goal is to move to Japan, which for most people, this would be an output-based goal, even if it doesn't seem like it. But the problem with a goal like that is that you may change your mind. Maybe, I don't know, 4 months from now, you're not gonna care about Japan anymore. Maybe it was just hype, or maybe your circumstances change. A new huge opportunity pops up out of nowhere. So instead, try to figure out the underlying desire beyond any goal that you have. In regards to Japan, for example, maybe what you were actually looking for is freedom, or a better community, a better lifestyle, or maybe it was just to have control over your life. So be stubborn on that deep, real, and meaningful desire, but be flexible enough to understand that the specific details of when, where, and how might change. Now, the last thing to do in part 2, after we've done all of this next part, I would say, is the most fun. Make predictions about this upcoming year. What do you think will actually happen? It can be related to the goals we just set. Like, do you actually think and believe you will achieve them? Asking yourself these and making a prediction might actually help you realize that maybe some of the goals that you set were not realistic. So be honest here. If you cannot confidently predict that you are going to do these things, maybe it's a good time to go back and rethink some of the things that you were saying you were going to do. And also, honestly, just throw in some general predictions about anything, about the world, about your family, your friends, business, life in general, because it's going to be fun in the future when you look back to see if you actually were able to predict something out of your control. And now comes part number 3, which, as I said before, you cannot do it if it's your first time doing this, because part number 3 is about rewatching last year's video and record yourself reacting to it. In fact, I do part number 3 at the beginning. Part number 3 is actually part number 1, because you learn a lot by watching yourself 1 year later do this whole analysis that we just went through, and it can help you see if you ended up doing what you originally set out to do or not. Maybe that will make you understand what are your strengths, your weaknesses, if you still care about certain things that you mentioned in the previous year or not, like for example what I said about Japan, and much more. This part of rewatching myself from last year is actually my favorite part. So if this is going to be your first time, it's okay, just do the first 2 parts. So analyze the year that you just went through and then do this whole thing of the road ahead, and then it will be next year that you will be able to do this part of rewatching yourself, which, by the way, this will not only be cool to watch like 1 year from now, but imagine like 10, 20, 30, 40 years from now. It's like a journal that you write on, but like once a year, but with a lot of detail and all the things that truly matter to you. And who knows, maybe when you're like 50, 60, 70, 80, you can edit them all together and do like a cool montage. So I think you should 100% do this. Once you finish recording it, upload it to Google Drive or YouTube or somewhere so that you don't lose it. What I do is I upload mine on YouTube, but they're set on private, so only I can watch them. So anyways, I hope you found these helpful and valuable. Please, honestly, like, go record this as soon as possible. Also, I wish you a happy new year. Subscribe to the channel if you're new here. I post videos very often on how to become a life polymath by mastering health, wealth, relationships, and spirituality. So subscribe and go watch some of my other videos. And that's it. Take care. Have a great life. Peace.